95, 2005. Seen it with my eyes. Dope still alive. Real mob ties. Real frog eyes. Real whole pies. All time high. Do it for the culture. They gon' fight like poachers. Right back when I was trapping out Toyotas. I'ma hit the gas. Truck can't pull me over. Space coupe, table, Yoda, born drinking sodas. I get high on my own, sir. Heard you gon' come, sir. Stop all that blessing, young nigga don't wanna go there. Never been a vocal, but I always been a soldier. Young niggas in the cut, posted like a vulture. Thousand off the stage, in the crowd, it's a mosh pit. Yeah, shawty bad, but she broke and she don't own shit. Mama athlete, son, when the traffic gone. I've been riding around through the city in my new bitch. Mama told me, mama, not to sell. Mama told you. 17 by same color t-shirt. What?
Hi, my name's Cooper McDonald from Midnite Media, here today at SpeedSport to interview Chad Lindberg. Do you think Jessie will come back?
There's a possibility, but I've pretty much accepted that Jessie's passed on. Somebody needed to die in the original, and that was Jessie, because he was the heart of the film. He was what people related to most, I think, the character-wise. So, Jessie's dead, but there is a possibility. You never know, right? Could happen.
Be nice.
Yeah.
Be nice. Next question. Do you miss Paul? I think a lot of people are gonna. Yeah.
Sure. Listen, Paul was one of the nicest guys in the world. He was the type of guy that wanted to make sure that you were good on set, that you were okay, and wanted to make sure that you were comfortable. He was the kind of guy that would want to make sure that you were fed. At the scene at the end of the movie where I come screeching in, I remember I wasn't bringing it. I was just quite not bringing it to the level of performance that I needed to. So the director, Rob, was kind of barking at me to push and to give more. And I finally did, probably the take that they used in the movie. And the first person that came out was Paul. He came running out the driveway, gave me a huge hug. And he was like, "That was awesome, bro." And that's the kind of guy he was. I know.
Wow. How was he to get along with?
Well, like I said, Paul was, he was the guy that kind of held everyone together. You know what I mean? He really was just an amazing human being. Very funny, too. Very funny guy. And we just had a good time. This was before it became Fast and the Furious. This was before Vin Diesel became Vin Diesel. We were all just kids. So, he's missed. And you feel him in here. You feel his spirit everywhere. In this, you feel it.
What was your first car?
My first car was and Dom likes to laugh at me because a Malibu. Yeah, it was a Malibu Classic, lighter yellow than actually your shirt. It was like just a banana yellow. And actually, Dom knows this. In the DVD extras on the original, there's a scene in the movie where me, Paul, and Vin and Johnny were sitting on the car talking about our first cars. And I remember Rob, the director, was just like, just talk. So it was kind of an unscripted scene that we did, and I talked about my first car being a Malibu Classic banana yellow. I wish I still had it, and I'd have Dom like soup it up.
When did you start acting, and how did you get into acting?
Right on, man. I started acting. I've always had a camera since I was a kid. You know, before we actually had these amazing cameras, we'd have like the big cameras that sat, you know, the Panasonic, like ridiculous. And I was always messing around with cameras. And I started acting in high school years ago. And I knew at a very young age that's what I wanted to do. And I did plays and stuff in high school. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to try this professionally. And I grew up in Washington State. And I started pursuing it in Seattle, which was like a near big city where I was from. Started working and getting gigs, and then that kind of opened doors for me in LA, and I moved there when I was 19. Been there since, and been very fortunate to work in really cool stuff and projects that have now become into phenomenons I could never have imagined, so very lucky.
Where do you see yourself in the immediate future in like 5-10 years from now?
Wow, 5 to 10 years from now, I hope to still be alive. You know? I hope that everyone's getting along, because for God's sake, we need that in this world. You know what I mean? You know, just surrounded by family and friends, and just to be happy and to continue working. But more than that, man, I just want to survive and just be alive. You know what I mean? I think if we're still doing our thing, and for those of you who I keep looking over, it's Dom sitting right there. And who built the Jetta behind me. And, 5 years from now, look, when I met Dom, very serious. It's like the actor's studio. Look, when I met Dom. But no, we had an immediate vision right away when we met each other and we clicked. And we said, we got to take this car and go do some good. And we got to take this and make people happy and bring, that's to bring back Jessie. That's what it means. It's bringing your spirit. And being alive and saying, you know what? Yeah, I'm alive.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
So what made you want to build the car from the movie?
Well, there's a fun story behind all these cars, because before the Jetta that we see behind us, there was the Eclipse. And the backstory behind that, I was at a show in Quebec back in 2015. I saw all the Fast and Furious cars that were there. A bit like you had here in Moncton about 3 years ago. There was the Fast and Furious cars. Those are the cars that I saw, and I was like, man, I need to have these cars. So I began to build the Eclipse. And then about a year after the first car was built, Chad Lindberg reached out to me and asked me, well, Dom, your Eclipse is unbelievable, and I really want to have you building my Jetta. Would you do it? And I was like, okay, why not? If you're in the project, I will build that car. So Chad replied, and he said, yes, no problem. And it all started from there, and we built that car together. And now we're going to bring that car to events, charity across the States and Canada. It's going to be fun.
Did you have, how long did it take, to find parts, or, was it hard to find, any little tiny parts for it?
Well, actually, when I was building that car, to find all the parts, well, most of them were easy to find. But the time frame behind, from the moment Chad asked me to build a car to the reveal, it was a bit less than 8 months. So it was quite fast, but the car keeps getting better and better throughout the months and the years with all the new parts. Every time I find another parts for the car, I'm putting the part on the car. So and here we are.
How done is the Eclipse?
Well, right now the Eclipse, as we are speaking, the car is almost complete. The restoration process on the car is almost complete. So we need to install the graphics, do some stuff in the interior like gauges and stuff like that, because throughout the past winter I found some new parts for the interior, some screen accurate parts as the RPM tachometer in the car, boost gauges, stuff like that. So we're going to install that on the car, and hopefully the car will be ready for the next show in Quebec in about 2 weeks.
Future plans for either car?
Future plans for the cars. Well, Chad and I want to bring the cars to LA. We want to bring the cars in front of the house, the Fast and Furious house, do like a fan gathering in front of the house. And it's only a matter of carrying the car from Quebec to LA, because other than that, we have all the good connection to make that happen. It's just a matter of finding the right sponsors who are willing to pay for the transportation of the car and stuff like that. But that's one of our main goal for the future. And other than that, probably, well, we're going to finish the Civic, the black Civic, and then I don't know if I'm going to build another Fast and Furious car. I would love to build maybe, and probably that's one of your future question, but next question, but I really want to build a Charger before the end of the franchise. So before the 10th one, the last one, I really want to have a replica of the Charger.
What was it like working on set with Chad?
The first time I saw Chad, well, I met Chad, I was like, oh my God, he's like an actor from my favorite movie, and I was all stressed out. And I remember the first time he came to Quebec, I was there at the airport to pick it up, and I was in front of him just like this to shake hands and say, hi, my name is Dom. And he was like, fucking come to see me. And he gave me a hug. And from that time, I was like, okay, no, he's not an actor from Hollywood and whatnot. He's just my friend coming to help me out with the car. So that's how it went. And since then, he's like a good friend of mine. And I don't know, it's just like working on your car with your best friend. That's basically the same thing.
What was your first car?
My first car was a 1989 or 90 Ford Probe, not even the GT model, and not even a manual. It was automatic 2.0. It was blue with a blue interior. It was not a good-looking car, not at all.
Thank you, everybody watching. Subscribe to this guy. Subscribe everywhere. Just subscribe. Right? That's what we do. We subscribe.
Yeah.